We got Sean. There's Mr. Sean. Sean's key. We gotta have Sean.
Sean's here. I see him.
He's key player. It's like having a offensive line without the quarterback.
You need a shot or something?
All right, we are streaming on YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and hit record. And we're live.
All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and start this City Council special meeting and workshop agenda. This is a remote access only meeting via Zoom. It is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, and it is 6 p.m. And with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We do have an agenda tonight. There's 3 items on for the special meeting portion on the consent agenda. Then we're going to work into our workshop where we have a single item of boards, commission, liaison, and committee assignments for 2021. Marcus, with your permission, I would like to add a second agenda item to that, and that's just a discussion on hazard pay. The hazard pay that we are currently paying our police department folks and our public works folks.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
So I got a first and a second. I think that was Sean, if I'm guessing right. First and second, all in favor of approving the agenda with the amendment as proposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Mayor, you have a special meeting.
Excellent. So special meeting portion, we do have a consent agenda. Can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, great. We passed that on the consent agenda. We'll move into the workshop session now, and that will be a discussion of the liaisons and committee assignments. And Marcus, I think I'll hand that off to you if you're okay with that.
Great. So I was hoping that Kelly could work her way through the board, because I don't have those all right in front of me, of course. And
Yeah.
we can see if is there anyone that has a special request on the council to move to a special assignment, or is everyone pretty happy in their current roles? Because if everyone's pretty happy in their current roles, it makes us move along pretty good. I think we've had a real productive year, as well as we can have a year with meetings and stuff that we're doing.
I had one request.
Sure, Mary.
I'm not on the park board. Is there any way that I could get on that, or I'll just sit in on the meetings if you tell me when they are? I just really care about what's going on in that park board. And I see that we've already got Sean and Marcus in that. So that's one thing. And the other thing, I did reach out to Matt Tabor today, but he didn't get back to me. I'm supposed to be on the Chamber of Commerce board. And I did go to the first meeting, and if Kim Daughtry remembers what happened, I went to the wrong meeting, and they told me, it's nice to see you, Mary, but you can leave now. And that was the only meeting I ever went to. And I do care about the Chamber of Commerce. So if there is somebody that can alert me when actual meetings are that I'm supposed to be at occur, I'm game to continue with that. Otherwise, I'm good. And I really enjoy the opportunity to be a liaison for all these things. So those are my 2
I would like
asks.
to stay on Parks Board, as I've been on it for a couple of years now, and I think I've got good momentum going with them. So I would like to stay on Parks, but there's an alternate spot too.
Right. So,
I am willing to cede the alternate spot.
okay, very good. Thank you so much.
I just don't know what I did to my screen.
That's all right. I see you here. Thank you very much.
Great. Is there anyone else that would like to make a change, or anyone who's looking for a different spot?
I know, Mary, last year you wanted to be on the Health District Board, so I'm not sure if that has changed or not.
You're right, I did. I didn't think about that. I may be on too many boards here. I don't know. let me look, let me see the health district. If somebody's game to step back from that, I think I would like to join Angie on that. That would be, I think I'd like that, yes.
The council rules and procedures, and I'm not questioning you, Mary, but I'm just
No,
wondering,
it's okay.
do we have a limitation on number of boards that we can serve on?
I am on a lot of boards, this is true.
I don't recall.
I don't recall any limitations.
Okay.
If, in full disclosure, I think everyone knows what my full-time job is. I am not going to be asking to take on any more than is currently on my plate. I have to take care of the 9 to 5 responsibilities, and I think that taking on more committee assignments might not allow me to do the due diligence that I would like to perform in any liaison assignment.
Mhm. So would, Steve, would you care that I step in there with the health district?
Yeah, I think you're welcome to be an alternate. You know,
Okay,
I will probably
great.
still participate,
Perfect.
I guess unofficially, but I think you do a great job at that.
I think it's important for me, and this is to Kelly, to give me alerts when there are meetings, because I know all of us are in the same issue of everything's virtual. We don't have to be somewhere. And I don't want to drop a meeting because I forgot it was going to happen. So I hope Kelly can help us be reminded.
Yeah, she does a great job of sending out that weekly email reminder that lets
Mhm.
one know. So we have to say, hey, I'm on whatever board, and then
Right.
know what meeting you're supposed to go to. But she sends out those weekly emails. So thank
Yeah.
you, Kelly. That's really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mary, I'll make sure that the health district has you on the email list going forward.
Okay, great.
Any of the
Perfect.
outside boards, I will contact them and make sure that they have the current liaisons.
Okay, thank you.
So
So
the only,
is there
They've
anybody
only
else?
got. So it looks like we only have 2 adjustments. So Mary's taking my spot on the health district board, and then Mary is taking Sean's spot on the parks board. Are those only 2 adjustments I see or hearing?
that's what I thought.
I have a
Yep,
question.
it looks good to me.
Solid Waste Advisory Committee, is that even meeting? Is that,
I've been on that board or I was on that board for 10 years and we met once.
Wow.
maybe we should just kind of cross that one off then.
I don't know if it's been meeting during COVID or not, but it hadn't met for 10 years.
What is the purpose of it?
It has not. I
Yeah,
don't.
the purpose was, it was an advisory board to I think the county on solid waste and solid waste contracts. And they also rode herd on how many solid waste businesses were out there. And then, there was a lot of stuff they did way back when they were doing stuff, but like I said, I don't know. They haven't met in a long time.
Great. Any other changes? Great. Hearing none. Mayor?
All right, good stuff. Keep moving things forward. I like it. So let's go ahead and have a discussion on hazard pay. So if you recall, I think it was back in May, we discussed implementing a hazard pay for the police department and for our public works folks, as they were the folks who were out and about with the community, engaging with the community. And we saw a special hazard with COVID issues for those personnel. And we implemented a hazard pay with the thought process that we would pay for that hazard pay out of our CARES Act money. So here we are today into January. CARES Act money is no longer in our budget. And we do still have a COVID issue. But now what we're doing is we're running into, do we continue to pay hazard pay? If so, we need to put that into the budget because it is not in our budget. And it would come out of our normal general funds budget versus a CARES Act reimbursing sort of a fund that we implemented this underneath. So with that, I want to see what everyone's feelings are on, or thoughts are on that subject.
Is there any way that the new CARES Act, or whatever you want to call it, coming out of the feds is going to do the same thing they did the last time and have some round of CARES money coming back out again that we could pay our hazard pay from?
I think the last one I saw didn't include money like that for local governments, and I might be wrong if someone can tell me different.
I'm not aware of anything different.
I know there was discussion about it, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't remember any sorts of support for local or county governments in that package.
What is the police chief had to say on the matter?
Thank you. So as I recall, the council took up the hazard pay with the understanding that it would end when we got to a certain phase. But the other aspect of that has to do, and I can only speak for the police department for this, not for the public works, is the issue of the vaccines. So if our officers are vaccinated at some point, that may be then a point, that may be a time point as well. I know that and again, I'll just speak for the police department, but in respect to public works too, part of the issue, the officers are expected obviously to absorb some type of risk in their job, but part of the issue with the hazard pay was now they're also subjecting their families to that risk as well. So that was some of the reasoning for the hazard pay and why it would then end when the state entered or the county entered a certain phase. So I don't know if the council wants to stick to that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember which phase it was.
My recollection is that it was when we moved into phase 3, because I think we had just moved into phase 2 and sort of talked through whether or not we were going to continue the hazard pay, and then got, I think, bumped back to phase 1 fairly quickly after that. So
I think though that becomes problematic, especially with today's new Healthy Washington plan.
Yeah.
And the phases now become scrambled, so to say.
Well, and we're in regional, where it's not just a county issue anymore. It's the Puget Sound region, and so it's bigger than just us.
To Chief Dyer's point of the vaccines, I agree that the phased Safe Start plan is problematic because it's regional in nature now. Snohomish County being in a region with King County and Pierce. There's probably a likelihood there because of density that region is there's probably some reasonable expectation it will progress more slowly than a smaller region, being less nimble just because of population densities. However, with the vaccinations, law enforcement, I believe, is, definitely in a phase 1 position. I think they are phase 1B, somewhere in that realm based on ACIP guidance. So I could see an opportunity in the future, likely near future, weeks to months where it would be, well, likely weeks to a month where you likely expect to be in a position where law enforcement could be vaccinated, much like you've seen a lot of healthcare already be vaccinated. So maybe the conversation isn't adding in the hazard pay for the entire year, but perhaps a quarter or even something that we revisit monthly as vaccines start to roll out. I know that locally in Snohomish County, a site is going to be rolling out here very quickly in the next week. I'd expect to see some information about a non-healthcare site where people will be able to get appointed to get vaccines. So I think that's coming rapidly. I know the conversations are happening on how to develop partnerships to have large capacity vaccine sites. So I think that as vaccines become available, you're going to see more and more availability to be able to get people vaccinated. And perhaps that is a trigger for hazard pay no longer being a necessary part of the consideration. And that same logic for law enforcement would most likely hold true for your essential workers, those workers that are vital to keeping our society moving forward.
Eric, did you have a comment?
Yeah, it's as far as public works goes, I don't see where the public works employees are any more at risk than anybody at the meeting here tonight, really. I really don't have an issue if the hazard pay goes away.
Marcus, you're muted.
I was going to say maybe we look at for the police department, since they're in contact with the public significantly more. Maybe we look at for the first quarter and then adjusting it as people are getting vaccinated.
What about the issue of a person that doesn't want to be vaccinated?
It's their personal.
I know that's a ridiculous thing to have to talk about, but we do have to talk about it.
I think I think it should be based on the availability of vaccines, not the percentage of people who are choosing to be vaccinated. If it's available and that's an option that somebody has to them, then we should, move forward accordingly.
Well, that's why I was saying the first quarter or whenever the vaccination happens. And that way we can reevaluate after the first quarter.
I think that makes sense, since this is a changing picture every day.
Yeah,
it really does make sense.
So another question that I would have is, do we know what the cost of the hazardous duty pay is per month, per quarter?
17,000
17,000
per month.
17,000, is that what you said?
but does that number include the public works? Because if we exclude the public works and we're just doing it for the police department, that number should go significantly down.
So you have patrol officers, commanders, public works field employees. You have your, and then you have some planning. You have your capital projects coordinator, engineering tech, building official, and building inspectors, all receiving different types of hazard pay. So different levels. The police get the most. They get $33 a day. Everybody else is $10.
Well,
So
I would look at doing the police department, not that I want to exclude the other people, but they're more frontline. I think the other people are probably not at more risk than anyone else at a normal job. That's my opinion. It might be the wrong opinion. I'm maybe not informed well enough, but
I guess I would look towards the department heads I appreciate, Eric, you're stepping in and talking about what you think for your department. I think that if there's a compelling reason for department staff to have hazard pay, I would like to hear from the head of the department as to why that is. Otherwise, I do agree that, law enforcement, there seems to be a pretty compelling reason to continue that. And I agree with both Councilman Tagent and Frederick to review that on a regular basis, whether that's monthly or quarterly moving forward, because we are in a rapidly changing environment. I'm supportive of moving that way.
I know that the officers are compelled to have very close contact with people that are positive. They don't have an option. They can't not do it. They can't socially distance, and we're telling them they socially distanced because of the nature of their job. But I do agree as far as the vaccines, about the availability of the vaccines, not the issue about whether people take it or not.
And I think as far as the inspectors go, they do come into close contact with the supers on the job site. Sometimes they have to be in closed spaces as they're doing their inspections with the supers of that site. So I think it's reasonable for the field staff to continue that. But I think the building official, it's not necessary. He's rarely in the field, and the plans examiner / inspector is only out in the field 1 or 2 days a week. But for the two primary inspectors, I think it's still appropriate, at least through this first quarter, and then reevaluate.
So I will just tell you that the engineering tech, capital projects, building official, inspectors, they're only receiving the hazard pay on days they work in the field. So they're having a time card. So they're not getting it all the time. They're getting it when they're out in the field only. So it's public.
So we're hearing a consensus that we continue with the police officers, and that we no longer do public works, but maybe the site inspectors on the planning side.
That seems a logical choice.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think it would be fair to if we're going to end the hazard pay for those groups other than probably at the end of the month. Does that work? Okay. All heads are bobbing north and south versus east and west. So we'll go north and south on that. So Barb, I think you'll need to put together a budget amendment then. So we'll continue with the police officers, with the police department and the on-site inspectors, and then the rest will drop off at the end of January, and then we'll assess for the quarter and or when vaccines become available for that department.
Whichever sooner.
Whichever sooner. All right, I like that discussion. Hey, as a final alibi on this, we do need to do some planning for the retreat. And just to throw this in here at the last, some of the topics, we're looking for topics that you would like to have at the retreat. Some of the topics we are looking at is Southeast annexation, downtown plan update, civic campus update, Frontier Village vision, priorities for the council, transportation benefit district funding, the all ever present fireworks discussion, and council procedures for when when in-person meetings resume. That's a list of topics we already have. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like us to discuss at the retreat?
I would,
And
Mr.
if they
Mayor,
come
I
up,
would,
they're always willing to send them in later.
Yeah. If you got one now, throw it out. If not, think about it and email us. Let us know. What'd you have, Gary?
just quickly, I'd like to have a brief discussion on some strategy as dealing with the city of Everett on this water line issue. That seems to be impacting our economic development more than anything. And I think we need to give the mayor some direction as to what to do in regards to that as far as a path forward.
Yeah, great. So I'll tell you where we're at on that, Gary. We received back, I think, November that Everett Water would concede the north 20 feet of their easement to allow a parking lot or some sort of asphalt on it, it's just unacceptable. And so as we moved into December, we were told by Gene, correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, you're right. I just wanted to let you know that the city of Everett reached out today and said they'll have a interlocal agreement to us in the next week or two.
Okay, but my assumption is that interlocal agreement will say you get to use the north 20 feet.
Correct.
I'm hoping it's better than that, but I never like to have hope as a course of action. So, so with that in mind, I'm looking for guidance. I'll tell you my thought process is that I'm not accepting 20 feet and that we will continue this dialogue with Mayor Franklin and her department and really take it as far as we have to take it because it's so detrimental to our economic development along 20th Street.
Great. So that's a great topic.
Are we going to
I
talk?
wanted that on the retreat, not to talk about right now. I'm sorry, Gary. We just dealt it.
Are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about the flooding on and the weir and the lake? And all
So
that?
I'll tell you what. So I know we all got Liz's email today, which is great. I responded to her. I wrote a mayor's message today talking about where we're at, what we're doing. That will get published tomorrow on our website. I let Liz know that, so you don't have to reply unless you want to. There'll be a mayor's message out tomorrow on the flooding, where we're at, and what our path forward is. That way, the whole city can read it and understand where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
I would like to request that we broaden our conversation around equity and think about 2021 and moving forward in the city of Lake Stevens and how we can ensure that we are reaching our diverse population and celebrating the equity that we have in our city.
Okay.
Great, I agree.
If Ruta is not on there, I'd want to make sure that Ruta is on there. If that's what it's called now, it changes all the time.
What's Ruta?
Rural Urban Transition Area. That would be the area between Snohomish and Lake Stevens. That would be our next source of commercial viability.
Okay, thanks.
We still have some Ruta North also, right? In between us and Marysville. Is that right, Russ?
Yes.
Yes, we do. We can give an update on the application that the city has applied for with Snohomish County for their 2023 docket.
Okay, those are some great topics. We'll add those. If you think of anything as you can't sleep at night, then formulate an email, shoot it to Kelly, and we'll get it on the agenda. And we'll start prioritizing some time for that agenda to make sure that we can fit everything in.
Given the governor's direction today and the direction that all regions will start at phase 1 next Monday, and that it's a regional approach moving forward, and to echo Councilman Frederick's words, our region will probably move slower than the rest. Are we still holding out any hope that we're going to have an in-person retreat, or are we at the point where we should plan for a virtual retreat?
Or maybe make an adjustment as to the time of it. So that's something we can explore as we go along.
Let's do this. I'll meet with staff tomorrow. We'll evaluate that. And,
okay.
And we'll put that out. Good question, though.
Great. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Okay, do we got any last alibis? I got east and west now, no norths and souths. So good. Excellent. Hey, we'll appreciate everyone's time tonight. Good meeting, and we'll keep the city moving forward and go out, do some great service with some people. And just so you know, on your calendars, we don't have enough topics for a January 19th workshop. January 19th workshop. It looks like it'll be canceled. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for being here.
Happy New Year.